to the realities of the location. But he did take inspiration from the home oaks with their olive-coloured foliage that were successfully growing among the granite outcrops. Olive trees themselves do not traditionally grow well here, but the owner did insist on having them.
It gets very cold, -15, constantly in winter.
As I understand it, olives really don't withstand very cold temperatures. So how on earth have these survived -15 for, what is it, 8 years now?
I did some research on, and there's some varieties up in northeast of Spain, below Catalonia. It's called, a region is called Aragon, and they withstand cold winters as much as here. So we went for them.
There are 3 different sections to the garden. The largest area of planting is either side of the driveway. Miguel created broad terraces and then filled them with imported topsoil and planted trees and tough evergreen shrubs like filaria that are tightly clipped to capture the flow and movement of the surrounding landscape. The central gravelled section is specifically designed for large-scale entertaining, so it's very open, with just a few olives and clipped evergreens. Behind the house is a lawn, dominated by a magnificent pine overlooking the reservoir. But other than the irrigated greenness of the lawn, Miguel and Renata had to work with the landscape rather than try and impose a garden onto it. This outcrop coming into the garden like that, I mean, this is the only place where it really, the landscape muscles into the garden, isn't it? How have you worked that in?
We had to work this. It was probably the part of the garden that took more effort and more time and more money because we had to bring a big machine. But this stone, you can see that the level was going more or less here up to that house.
So hacked into the rock.
We had to.
So you have this very limited landscape, beautiful, these stark stones and the colour of the home oak, and there's not much else in that palette, these glaucous greens and greys, which of course is picked up here, and the stone of the wall, the same granite. But it's a man-made wall. It's a clear dividing line, and the manipulation of the curves and the flow of the plants says it's gardened, it's managed. But at the same time, there's no dissonance with the landscape. It blends in. It is of the place. I've driven here last night in the dark. It seemed to go on for miles through sort of flat lands. And looking out the window this morning, I realized we were driving through vineyards. There are miles and miles and miles of them. Spain has more vineyards than anywhere else in the world. This is the heart of the Castilla y León region. And I'm on my way to visit the Danish wine grower, Peter Sissek, who is famous for producing one of the most expensive wines in Spain. Peter's farmstead is set on a remote hillside overlooking the valley of the Duero, around 50 kilometers away from his vineyards, and the strikingly modern house has a garden that tumbles down the rocky hillside. Peter worked with the English garden designer Tom Stuart Smith to create a radical vision of using only local plants and then giving them minimal attention. The results challenge many preconceptions of what a garden is or should be, so I had to ask Peter exactly what he was trying to achieve. Peter, I confess this is quite extreme. Tell me what's happening here.
We don't have water here. The plan is try to do something without irrigation.
Okay.
Because what you see, most of it is planted.
How many plants did you put in?
We started with around 15,000.
Wow. Okay, so a big planting project.
Yeah.
I mean, one is tempted to say, where